Have you ever worked so late that even the coffee machine gives up on you? That was Brian. Brian had one job: finish work, get in the elevator, go home. Simple. But life, or rather the universe, had other plans. He walks out of his office towards the elevator, feeling exhausted, but work that had piled for the whole week was gone. Fuchs. That night, he pressed the button for the basement. The elevator hummed, the doors shut, and down he went. But after a few seconds, something felt off. The numbers weren't changing. The elevator was still moving, but the floor display was stuck on 1. We, hii ni nini sasa? Brian muttered, jabbing random buttons. Nothing worked. Panic levels rising. The elevator finally stopped with a ding. The door slid open, and that is when things got weird. Cheki, nusikue mshamba. Fanya fiti. Finya like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Fungua Stories by Wambo. Remember also to comment down below. Instead of the basement parking, Brian was staring at a long, dimly lit corridor. The walls had eerie paintings on the wall with cracks, some hallucinating like breathing skin. And worst of all, there was a single flickering light bulb soaring above it like it had been waiting for him. Then came the voice, a deep guttural whisper. Step out. Brian blinked. At nini? Step out. Where? Misi mjinga bana. He pressed the closed door button like his life depended on it, but the door didn't move. The whisper turned into a growl, and then footsteps. Slow, deliberate, getting closer. Brian's ancestors whispered directly into his soul. Run. This guy started slapping every button of the panel. Jesus, Allah, Buddha, someone. Elevator, go up, bana. Just as the shadow figure with hollow eyes emerged, the elevator doors slammed shut. The lift shot up like a rocket, throwing Brian to the floor. G-forces ziliamua kumfinya kama chapati. His stomach threatened to introduce his lunch to his throat, but he held it in. Then, ding, the door slid open. Brian scrambled up, panting like he'd run from Kitale to Mombasa. His sweaty palms gripped the elevator rail as he staggered out, only to find himself back on the ground floor. His brain refused. Hakuna vile. He had gone up. He felt it. Labda ni stress. Maybe he was just losing his mind. But before he could convince himself, something shifted behind him. That whisper. Again. By this time, closer. Step out. Brian's knees gave up on life. He whirled around, and that's when he saw it properly. The shadow figure had stepped inside the elevator with him, and now it was facing him. Hollow eyes, a stretched grin, its head tilted unnaturally. Brian tried to back away, but he was already inside the elevator. Mimi sijakosea mtu tafadhali, niaje sasa? His voice cracked like a broken radio. The figure grinned wider. Lights flickered. Then, bang! The elevator jerked violently and the lights went out. The only thing Brian could hear now was his own panicked breathing and the whisper that slithered through the darkness. Brian then scrambled out, panting. He was back on the ground floor. The security guard at the reception raised an eyebrow. Uko sawa, boss? Brian, still shaking, pointed at the elevator. That thing is cursed. Ilishindwa na kazi yake bana. The guard chuckled. Oh, that elevator. Sometimes it goes to the floor that doesn't seem to exist. Brian brains paused. Ati? The guard leaned in, smirking. No one who steps out ever comes back. Then the guard burst out laughing. I'm messing with you, bro. But seriously, that thing is broken. Maintenance guy said it sometimes just does weird things. Brian did not laugh. He simply walked out of the building, entered his car, and swore never to use that lift again. Just as Brian reached the exit, still shaking, the security guard called him. Boss, si umesahau laptop yako kwa ofisi? Brian froze. He turned back slowly, eyes wide. Ala, no way bro. Hiyo laptop imejitolea mahanga leo. Mi siendei uko tena. The guard chuckled. Wewe si unajua boss wako atakuchinja ukikosa hiyo report kesho. Brian groaned. His ancestors were screaming at him to leave, but capitalism whispered, una rent ya kulipa buda? Una. With a deep sigh, he went back inside, but just as he stepped towards the stairs, the elevator dinged. The door slid open, empty, or so he thought. A shiver ran down his spine. That cursed floor, that voice, it was still fresh in his mind. But Brian wasn't about to walk up 5 flights of stairs. Aki Mungu nisamehe, he whispered before stepping inside. Brian jabbed his office floor button. The doors closed. The lift started moving normally. Brian exhaled. See, I knew I was overthinking. Ding! The doors slid open again. Not his office. Not any floor he recognized. The same dim corridor. The same breathing walls. The same flickering light. And this time, the security guard's voice echoed behind him. Si nilikwambia Brian, no one who steps out ever comes back. Brian screamed. Brian, step out. Brian's stomach dropped. He spun around. The security guard was inside the elevator with him, except his eyes were hollow. His grin was stretched too wide. His voice had the same deep, guttural whisper. He was forced to think that the same ghost that had found him in the first time he took the elevator is the same person. Outside the building, the real security guard sat at his desk, scrolling TikTok. The elevator doors dinged shut. Brian, he never walked out again. Never ever in his entire life. Moral of the story, guys. If the lift doors open and the floor looks like a horror movie set, my friend, stay inside. Number 2, never trust old elevators. Number 3, when the ancestors, like your conscience, tells you to run, just run. And sometimes, just hit the stairs. Ungeamini hii story to be true. If you find this story very, very interesting, let me know in the comment section. Comment down below and let's make the comment sector very, very engaging.